Hello, I'm Paul Douglas. What are chord inversions? When people say A major first inversion or F major second inversion, what on earth are they talking about? Let's find out. This channel is all about helping you become a better musician, so if that appeals to you, then go ahead and subscribe for future videos. A basic chord, so a basic minor or major chord, has three notes. So if I just played, say, an A major chord here, you might say, well, you just played more than three notes there because you strummed 5 strings. Well, yes, I have, but some of the notes are repeated. If I just go through the notes I'm playing, A, E, A, C sharp and E. We've got those three notes, A, C sharp, E. Those are the three notes of the chord. If I was to play an A minor chord, we've got A, C and E, so C instead of C sharp. Those three notes and those three note chords are called a triad. It's perhaps easier to see this on the piano. If I just played that same chord, the A chord, you can see I'm playing three notes there, A, C sharp and E. A standard triad. Where do these notes come from? Well, they come from the A major scale. So if I was to play an A major scale on the piano, 7 notes in that scale, and we have A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. The notes of the triad are made up of notes 1, 3 and 5 of the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have our A major chord. So we have 3 notes, and you will hear people when they're talking about a chord talk about the root, the third, and the fifth. Now you might say, why aren't the notes in the chord just called 1, 2 and 3? Well, because they come from the major scale. The root is the note that has the same name as the scale or the chord. So a root of an A major chord is A. The third, which is the next note up, it's called the third and not note 2 because it's note 3 in the major scale. 1, 2, 3. And then the fifth is because it's note 5 in the major scale. So we have root, third, and fifth. Now chord inversions are all about which one of those notes, the first, third, or the fifth, is the lowest sounding note in the chord, i.e. which one is in the bass. If the root note is in the bass, that's called a root position chord. If the third is in the bass, that's called a first inversion chord. And if the fifth is in the bass, that's called a second inversion chord. So I've moved back over to the piano to demonstrate this. Let's have our A major chord again. You can see that the lowest sounding note I'm playing there is the A. So we have the A in the bass. That is a root position chord. If I was to put a C sharp in the bass, that would give me a first inversion chord. And if I was to put an E in the bass, i.e. the lowest sounding note, that would give me a second inversion chord. The root position one sounds the strongest. So I'm going to add a few extra notes here just to make the chord sound fuller. And then if I play a second inversion chord, you can hear the difference in the character. It's not as strong, it's not as final. It's almost leading you somewhere else. And then the second inversion chord, again, you can see, you can hear the different character that it has from the root position chord. And to be honest, that's all there is to it. Nothing more or less than that. A chord inversion is simply which note is the lowest sounding note, the note that is in the bass of that chord. So for a standard triad, standard major chord, say, if the root is in the bass, that's a root position chord. If the third's in the bass, that's a first inversion chord. If the fifth is in the bass, that's a second inversion chord. Now there's often a lot of confusion about chord inversions, and there are a couple of points that I think I should make here. One is that if you're playing a chord on a piano, say, or a guitar, or in a band, it's unlikely that there's just going to be, an A, a C sharp, and an E. There might be 4 A's and 3 C sharps and 5 E's being played at the same time. The only note that matters to determine the chord inversion is the lowest sounding note, the bass. Doesn't matter about the rest. The other thing to point out, if I on the guitar played, say, a D major second inversion chord, so that means there'll be an A in the bass, so I'll be playing this. D major second inversion chord. If I'm playing that in a band, you could be saying, okay, I'm playing a second inversion chord. But if the bass guitar, which in that sort of typical rock band situation would be the lowest sounding instrument, if he was playing, say, a D underneath my second inversion chord, it doesn't matter what inversion of chord I'm playing. The band as a whole will be playing a root position chord there, because the bass guitar is the lowest sounding instrument. It's playing a D, which is the root of the D major scale and the root of the D major chord. I can be playing a first or second inversion. It doesn't matter. The band as a whole will be playing the root position chord. And that's important because if you're writing music for a band like that, then that chord inversion and hence the character of the music as a whole will be governed by that bass guitar, not by anything you do on the guitar. Chord inversions are a very handy songwriting tool. So why don't you try in your own writing, in your own compositions, playing around with chord inversions, and rather than just using a root position chord all the time, or even changing to a different chord, try using an inversion or writing a chord progression where you change from one position of a chord to another position of a chord, and see how that can change the character and the mood of that particular section of the music that you are writing. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do click on that big red subscribe button down there. It really does help me out. I hope this video has been useful for you and you have learned something and will be able to apply it in your own personal musical situations. I've been Paul Douglas and I'll see you again in the next video. Cheers.